Be water, my friend.
What's up, YouTube? It's me, Joe Schmmo. I'm back, and I'm joined by my buddy, Boxuchan, a.k.a. Nick, a.k.a. Primal Merchant, a.k.a. whatever else he wants to call himself. Say hello, my friend.
Whoa. Yeah, that was enough. That was a good amount of names.
So
Yes,
I brought in an expert in this field. That is the title, which if you guys just randomly clicked, I appreciate. But we are talking about subscription services, and my buddy here, he runs a customized DVD anime service, so forth. I'll let you give your spiel. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, to continue on with that, no, I would not describe myself as an expert. But yes, I do. I did start a subscription business about a year, almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in a month or so, I think, in August. That's when my site renewal. So yeah, August. Um, and I've learned many things that I did not expect to learn about this type of business beforehand, and it's something that I never really expected to get into in the first place. It just kind of sort of happened as an idea and just picked up speed. But yes, as Kyle said, I do own Boxuchan, where I sell personalized anime DVD boxes for pretty much you fill out a survey, you tell me what you like, and I put in a box anime, manga, games, whatever you like, all personalized to your taste.
So, as you heard, he has a great service, but we'll get to that. So, when we're talking about services, we're talking about not like Netflix or Hulu or anything like that. We're talking about like stuff like Otaku Box, stuff like what is it? There's a snack box out there. I'm talking about actual subscription services where you can get
All the
stuff.
crate line.
Exactly. Yeah. All the stuff that you can get, pay a certain amount of money a month for, and then you can get stuff every month. Now, for me, I have really only done like maybe one or two, including Boxuchan, because yes, I am biased, but it's a good service.
What other boxes have you done, Joe?
I did a loot box here and there, because going through high school that was the thing, and
Yeah.
it was the thing to do, and that was the thing YouTubers talked about. I have done a otaku box, which
Oh, I actually want to know details about that.
It was okay. So so you see how they advertise, like right now they're advertising Raphtalia.
Things to say about them, but I'm super biased, so I'll shut my mouth. And
So no, I want to hear it. But so like right now in my hand, and I will probably take a picture and post it. I have a Raphtalia figure from the Otaku box. I didn't. This isn't the one I came with. This is the one I picked off a friend. The one I had looks exactly the same. You can see the mold cuts. There is a gap in her hair. I am currently staring at it. And there's like other things that really don't make it look good. Like the eyes aren't really spaced correctly and some other stuff. Now they do offer some good stuff once in a while. Like I have a NSFW of Asuna hanging on my wall. I have I got a T-shirt from them. That is a the Guild Girl from Goblin Slayer. That is NSFW. That she is practically nude.
Yes, of course.
Then I have the Safe for Work one, which I wear around, and then I have the print from her. So like the theme boxes are good, but like the main thing they advertise, the statues, are not that good. Like the other stuff's good. Like I don't understand. Like, if you were going to advertise something, why don't you just make that good?
So, I understand that originally, as far as I'm aware, that the figures weren't part of their original plan. I believe it was purely based off of doing not necessarily personalized, but original T-shirts, art stuff. Like you got what'd you say, what is it called, a wall scroll banner?
Yeah, I guess it would be a wall scroll. Like it's a fabric.
Art pieces that are of IPs made by their own hand or made in a factory, made with not necessarily licensed art, but artist reconstruction art, stuff like that. Things that people would post on not DeviantArt, but what's that really popular
Pixit,
Japanese? Yes,
Pixiv.
yes, that's the exact yes. Art that you see on there, and I think that was your original plan, right? To make these pieces of art or things that you could personalize, order from sites like Vistaprint and stuff. T-shirts, mugs, art, wall scrolls, whatever, and sell them in boxes, which is a good idea. However, quality, I not always the highest from what I've seen, because it's very obvious that the figures are handmade. I mean, they even say that on the site. They say that they make their own figures and stuff. I don't really know. I'm not gonna say whether that's illegal or not. I actually have no clue what the legalities behind doing that is. Taking an IP and selling it. I think that's okay, for the most part. But um, yeah, I agree. They advertise the figures super heavily. You see them in big bold pictures, but they don't look good at all, and I don't get it.
Well,
Like at all.
I mean, if you think about it, the average Joe, will end up ordering the box because they're like, oh, or like people getting into it. Like, they'll be like, oh, that's cool. I like Raftalia. I saw,
Yeah,
the Rising of the
yeah.
Shield Hero this season. Or I just saw Fairy Tail because I got a Lucy one right here, too, from the same service. I,
They
I,
choose really popular girls. It makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the popular girls from the popular enemies of the time. So, they'll bring in newer people. I understand. It's a good motto, but give quality. But honestly, they can't tell the difference half the time, especially if you're just getting into it. Like, I can tell
Hmm.
the difference between, as a couple of the viewers know, I have a bootleg Kiyohime Lancer that is, usually you can tell on the box before you buy it, but even after you buy it, you can feel it. Feel
Yeah,
the difference in the quality.
figures you can really tell once you sounds weird, but once you touch it, feel it, experience it in person. Bad, poorly made figures are leagues under well made figures for sure.
See,
Absolutely.
with Kiyohime, if they would have took like a real box and did it like that instead of printing it, like they literally printed the design on the box, not like actually make a box design. Like it literally, you could
Oh,
tell it was like thrown through a printer and then put on and it came out. If they
yeah,
would have did that, you couldn't tell unless you took out the figure and actually knew what you're looking at. I will give
yeah,
that mood like that, but still, with these, if I saw them, I would just pick up Raftalion and be like, yeah, no, because I would see the split in the head. But and then but some people don't care, and I understand that because I was like that for the longest time. I don't care what, as long as they look good and I like the character, I got it. And my display
yeah.
case
No,
shows that.
that's perfectly fair. Yeah.
And some of the lower cost ones are actually pretty good. That's the thing
Mhm.
too. It just depends on the brand and if it's bootleg or not. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's the thing. To me, at least, from so I didn't buy one. I kind of want to, just to see firsthand for myself. But patrons have told me, I've seen reviews and stuff. I do, for whatever reason, because I keep looking at their ads because I want to examine them. I get them more and more on my Facebook feed. So I've seen a bunch of their ads and I see a lot of comments, and the most popular negative ones are primarily saying this has not become worth it, lower quality stuff. Like we pretty much just talked about, how some are really nice. I really like, people said that they originally liked it, their boxes were good, but it's just not stayed the course in quality, as you could say.
So,
Um, but I intentionally went on the site and tried to order a box. I found it really interesting that when you order a box off of their site, you order one and it's marked at a lower price, right? It's marked at $24.99. And I thought, oh wow, so you get all this stuff for that price. But no. What's really happening is that that's the lowest tier. And then as you add stuff to it and make it look like the box that's advertised in their ads, it becomes $50 or 55. I forget exactly how much. It was either 50 or more. And I was like, wow, that didn't feel good. That didn't feel good to go through. I don't. That's not necessarily bad practice, but that I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that morally
Yeah.
to raise
So
prices like that.
my thing, I agree with that because I like what you do. You just basically say, yeah, this is what comes with it. This is the price. I
Yeah,
like
I just
straight
feel
up
like
pricing because it makes it a lot easier to budget.
mm,
Because also, if you think about it, you come across with other sites too. Like, there's a whiskey service out there that you can try different whiskeys every month. They send you
mm,
different stuff. The pet. Mm, I have to edit that part out. That was a burp. Depending on what you want, like size wise, if you want a glass to come with it, if you want this, that, it could start from like $15, but it can end up being like $70 a month. Like, and
mm,
it does. A lot of places do that, but they don't tell you until you get to the checkout.
yeah,
Unlike you, you're like, all right, the $24 box comes with this, this, and this. It comes with part of it, the beginning of a series, comes with like two other things. You describe what it could be. The $45, I think it's 45 now. I think
yeah,
45 comes with a full series, so it'll be like season one of whatever it is. Like Love Live, first season, so it'll be the 13 first episodes, plus a
yeah.
statue or something big, and then something else. Like he just tells you straight up, which I appreciate. But that also brings me to a question. With bigger places, they got to outsource and get stuff for cheap and try to flip that profit. So, how do you go about finding stuff? And since we're on the topic, because you recently just showed something on your Instagram that makes me super jealous, and to me
Yeah, yeah.
personally, what's the best find you found or someone's traded in?
Oh man. So I do wanna go back to I've bought in a lot of different boxes before, so I definitely will want to go back to that and describe other boxes because I'll be honest, I've definitely stolen ideas from other people and seen what other people do that worked, at least for me personally. But sourcing wise, I think that's the toughest thing for boxes. It's either that or shipping. To how to gauge pricing, but sourcing, at least from in my opinion, I have gone a route I think is so different than other people, right? Other boxes, so you take, for instance, probably the most popular subscription box idea, which is pretty much female product or makeup or things that deal with femininity or the feeling of being a woman or things that go along with that kind of source. Um, and a lot of things will be makeup lines or clothing or typically like small trinkets or doodads or books, uh, cosmetic things that look nice, aesthetically pleasing objects. For that stuff, that typically is wholesale, and I have done none of that. I've, I have forsaken the entire idea of wholesale purchasing. The more I looked into it for anime, the more I just don't want to do it. I have heard horror stories about doing wholesale because you have to sign contracts, you have to. So when you do wholesale, and to dumb it down to fully explain what I mean by that is typically when you go to a store, go anywhere, or go to a business, the reason they're able to sell things is because they buy things in bulk and cheap. Hence wholesale. You get things in a whole lot for a sale. Now, with that, you typically sign contracts and other stuff where you either, you sign and say, oh, I'll buy from you so and so amount each month, etc. So that, you keep your store full, but also you keep the wholesaler keeps a customer and keeps you obligated to continue to buy more. However, to go along with that, there's usually stipulations of, oh, you can't buy from other people, you can't set price. There's a, I forget the exact word for it, but when you set prices, there's laws with that, especially when you go to the wholesale route. However, I have just not done that at all. For anime DVDs, it seems to be a enormous pain to do this contract stuff because you buy it for not good prices, unfortunately. It seems that most stores who do sell anime DVDs and do the wholesale route, their profit margins are very low. So from what I've heard, it's like, say you buy what's a recent anime that came out
Uh,
on like DVD,
uh, uh, uh,
anything. Fire Force season 1 came out recently, right, on
yeah,
DVD. Did I release?
yeah, I think so.
Say I wanted 10 copies of Fire Force. It's really popular nowadays. It's a popular anime that's been talked about a lot. I want 10 to 20 copies of season 1. And say the MSRP, typically, I don't know, I forget who did Fire Force. Maybe it was Funimation, so probably
I think
around
so.
50 to 60 bucks.
Hmm.
Um, and say if, okay, MSRP is 60 bucks. I buy it for 45. Profit margin is 15. So imagine that, but also for older anime that's been out for a while. So say I wanted a random Sentai series. First thing that let me see. Can I? Yeah, World Godliness. What if I wanted World Godliness? That came out like 10 years ago. What if I want season 1, a bunch of copies of that, and it's the same price, but third market prices or second-hand prices are really, really low for that right now. So why would I pay that amount in a wholesale environment for a thing that I'm going to try and sell at MSRP, which obviously MSRP is still the same for the series. It'd still be, around 50 bucks. That's what you would see at FYE or Target, etc.
Hmm.
Why would I pay that much for stuff like that when I can just get it for a much, much cheaper price with no weird obligations? So to answer your question fully, I have not gone the typical route that most other businesses have, and I feel like I'm very lucky that I'm able to do this. I have not only thrifted for a very, very, very long time, but I have done examining sales, purchasing people's collections, etc., stuff like that. And I have gotten more new stuff than I thought I ever would be able to. It seems to be really doable. A lot of people just don't open their stuff sometimes, as well as just getting it from places like Right Stuff and Sentai from themselves, but not in a typical wholesale environment. Now, maybe one day when I grow to be big and actually need wholesale, maybe. But I don't see that necessarily happening if this continues to prove true for me that I just don't really need to do that because uh,
So,
there's just a lot of really affordable ways to get anime, and I've been very, very fortunate that I've been doing this for myself for a very long time, so I know prices, I know what's a good price, I know what's a bad price, I know conditions, I know what bootlegs look like, and we've talked about this before, but I even did a video about that where I talked about what a bootleg looks like and how
mhm.
to, not purchase one.
So like what he's talking about when he says thrifting, it's what you think. He goes to thrift stores and
Yeah.
he goes to like different places you would get them cheap. Goes to like flea markets. He goes to consignment shops or something like that. Like there's
Yeah,
a
we've done it together many times too.
oh yes, 100%. And then that's developed into why I do the otaku thrifting once in a while, which I really need to get back to. But COVID
Hmm.
19's a bitch and really kills the
Yeah,
mood to go do that. Uh,
yeah, absolutely. 100%.
but what I was gonna tell you, but which I mean I'll say this now, that way we can keep it recording. Come back to it if we forget. If we get big enough, we can do what Shotgun Shogun does for his USA Direct. He goes overseas and buys because it's way cheaper to buy it direct. So like you know how you get sometimes the figures in bulk that are not in boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
You can go to Akihabara or go to one of the surrounding cities to one of the secondhand shops. You can find a bunch of those for like $2 a pop in plastic wrap with the stand. Done. You fill
So
up a bunch of stuff, get a bunch of different stuff like that, and
I'm glad you brought that up because that was something I was gonna say anyway. Lately, so with at first figures was tough. I didn't really know how to go about it. Figures are alone without the box. Sometimes it gets tough. Like we just said, uh, it's usually easy to tell if a figure's a bootleg, but some are just as nice, and it's hard to tell if it's fake or not. Especially some of the nicer ones, and they can just be straight up a carbon copy of the legit thing. And at that point, it's just kind of hard to tell. Now, I think I have not only been lucky in finding good places to get figures for very cheaply, but I think I also found recently a person who I can contact to do exactly that. To get figures wholesale from Japan, because you're right. Uh, there's like a treasure trove of tons and tons of prize figures that you can just get real cheap.
Oh, yeah, and the same goes for like manga too. Because I was sitting there watching the anime, man, and he talked about one of his videos he did recently was go over his manga collection, and he said he spent a lot when he was living in Australia on the English stuff, which just like here in America, as I look over at mine, they're like 10 to 15 on average. Over there, even though it's in Japanese, the points there, they're $5 or less a piece.
Yeah.
So, like, he has a collection worth $4,000, roughly, of manga. Think about that. If you take that, divvy it up, like, $5 a piece, that's, like...
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's a big number.
Yeah. I, go off on the manga tangent for a second here. I have a really interesting story. I got an email a few days ago, right, to go along with this idea of where do I source stuff. Sometimes I just get really interesting emails from people, and this is something that I did not expect at all when I started Boxuchan. I put a sale page on the site, just a chance that maybe someone will sell their collection. And lately, it's been proving very, very
useful,
very good idea. But I got one from. You ever hear of Sentai Project? They do visual novels sometimes.
Maybe. For a second, I thought he was about to say Bookwalker, and I was like, you take that deal. You better take that deal.
No, so, I got an email from this guy from Sentai Project a day ago about, purchasing their lots of manga that they were doing a wholesale sale of Gate Volume 1. And they were selling it in lots of 24 for $1 each. So each book would be $1, right? But you could only buy in packs of 24. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll get 2 cases. Such a bizarre thing. So if you want to buy a Gate,
I need a volume of Gate, please. Can I snag a volume of Gate?
Yeah, so like stuff like that is super unexpected, but I think once you start a business, and it seems true from what I've seen from other people, is that more people are very okay with just selling stuff to you and being more open to pricing, etc. So it's definitely a different vibe in hunting, which what I've been very used to so far. I'm just hunting for deals and such instead of someone coming.
So with that, like I was telling you, I picked up a bunch of stuff for you at the pawn shops around here. I go, hey, look, I'm doing bulk sale for a business. I need prices. So like I've been going to this one place to pick up product, and they throw in like five or so games for free because they're like, well, remove a product, go ahead, and then they even discount it even further. So like if you're straight up honest and like depending on, especially pawn shops, they're willing to broker and get stuff moved because they need to clear up space because they got stuff in the back. So if you got a business card ready, a lot of places be like, yeah, sure, hold on, let me go talk to the manager. Or if they're the manager, be like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, it really is interesting to see what power just saying that you have a business does. I didn't really expect that part. But it's been a very new and unique thing that I've been experiencing. But yeah, it has a lot of power to say that. And it really changes the dynamic of shopping for good deals for anime and such.
Well, I use that as a way to like say, hey, I'm a small business trying to do what I can.
Yeah.
I see you got product that hasn't moved. I see dust on it. How are you willing to get rid of it for like cheap? Most of the time, it's yes, and you've had experience with that too.
Yeah, you know what? A really good example of that, of this idea that not nothing is unsellable. It just depends on how it looks and where it's placed. A really good example of that is when I had the kiosk
Mm-hmm.
in the mall, there was a store next to me that sold baseball cards and sports memorabilia. However, they also had a small dabbling of other TCGs. So they had a very small corner that had Pokemon, they had a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, and then they had a sprinkling of random anime trading card games from the early 2000s. I just, when I saw that, I scooped it all up. It was very dusty. It had very clearly not been touched in a long time. Brought it up to them and said, "Hey, I'm the owner of Boxuchan over there. I see that you had a bunch of anime stuff here. I'd be more than happy to do a deal with you. And just out of curiosity, how long it's been here?" And they said, "Oh man, that's been there for years now. It just no one really bothers with their touch." And I'm like, "Well, it'd probably be really good for the store. Got a really good deal for them." You know how much of that was left after a week? None. I sold all of it in a week just because it was placed at my store with other anime stuff for anime customers. Stuff that had been taking space for years. So I think placement and where and how you present certain stuff really, really matters. And to
That's
go along with your other question of like what was some of the best deals ever gotten, that definitely was a good deal because it was so.
I was going to say
Uh,
that's why you see me usually messing around, moving stuff around, and you also notice that after I touch something, it doesn't seem to last long.
True, you had the you magic touch at the store.
That's what I'm saying, man. When you get big enough and that physical location happens,
You're gonna just touch shit
touch,
all
touch,
day.
touch, 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 gone out the window. All right, next. You got any more stock? We're out of stock. I guess we're closing doors, boys. I'm just gonna pull down the shutters.
Uh, but answer your to answer that question fully of what the best deal I've ever gotten, I think I've told you this story before, but there some of the one of the series that many collectors would agree upon to be a holy grail of sorts for American anime DVD collection is Nana. It's a shoujo series from like early 2000s. I think it released 2002, 2003. Very, very good. However, I don't want to say it's the only DVD they released. No, they did. They released a few. They released a few series, but back in the day, Shoujo Beats, who did
Oh yeah.
primarily manga, also did some series on DVD. Very few. They did like Full Moon No something, and Nana, and I think maybe like one or two more. Very few series. Uh, Nana has I'm just gonna be blunt. It has sex in it, so it got a. I don't want to say it got AO. It got whatever the rating you would get. I think it was 18 plus. I think it was legitimately rated 18 plus. Not necessarily considered uh, um, pornographic, but it got that. I think it had to do the same rules that Smut has to deal with when
Mm-hmm.
selling as a DVD, and sales tend to be less. So you have this great series that released in 4 box sets at a very, very low quantity, and it's pretty much a cult classic as well. So it's a perfect recipe for super, super duper high price of a series. I think you're still paying around like 500, 550 ish for the whole thing. At FIE one day, I was looking through their DVDs and I found Nana, brand new, box set 1, 3, and 4. and unfortunately, I could not find two. I didn't know if the person didn't have it or whatever the story was, but it was still absolutely absurd that I found this multi-$100 series just lying there. Guess how much I paid for it?
$20 a piece.
So it would have been, but they had a buy two get one free deal.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, it felt so dirty. I think. Well, no, I think it might have been like 35, maybe.
That's
I forget the
still.
exact amount. It was very cheap. I have the picture of the receipt because I wanted to keep track of how much I actually spent for that. But yeah, it was absurd. It was disgusting. That was probably the crown jewel of fines. I still can't believe that happened. I want to know who sold it because it was brand new. And I don't understand. It was definitely, I even double checked, it was the same kind of, so sometimes like people will shrink wrap their own series, whether to sell as new or whether to like trick people and stuff, but I double checked, that's how it would have been wrapped. So I was like 99.9% sure that this was legitimate, this was the real deal. So that would be my answer to that question.
Okay then.
Without
I'm just a little blown back because that's the first time I heard of that. Because I
I
would
thought
think.
I told you before.
No,
but
you didn't
yeah,
tell me
yeah.
that you found this this multi-$100 series
I
for
just said
like
multi-hundred. It was just a way better than it was.
$70.
It was a few $100, but yes, it was absurd.
But since we're going into that, you talk about how cult classics and how people, tend to say different stuff's their favorite anime. So when it comes to your service, which is why this one stands out amongst the other ones, you have them fill out surveys and then you build the boxes to them. So tell me the process on how you usually do that. Because, I mean, like we talked before, Otaku Box don't really do that. Like any other really service really doesn't do that.
You know what's funny? Before we were doing this video and you said Otaku Box, I'm like, oh man, he's gonna get me started. I knew that this was just gonna end up in me ranting about my issues with that box because I see it all the time. And anyway, there's a ton of really to go into that question. There's a ton of really good anime boxes out there. There's one that I really want to get. I haven't gotten it yet, but I've been thinking about it. I really should try one. I really actually should reach out to them as well to say hey. But there's a really cool one called Manga Spice. I think Manga Spice box, something like that, where you get a manga and some Japanese snacks and stuff, and you get like a little slip that also says about like the author of the manga and like bunch of information about them and like who drew it, and like you learn about who made the manga and like all who made it. It's really cool. I really liked that idea, and I liked that idea of what they did with the pamphlet so much. That's where I got the idea of my pamphlet. I'm like, shoot, I need a pamphlet. So I that's how I came to the idea of making the brochure. But I definitely want to go into other boxes later because I've definitely had my fair share of other box experiences. But to answer your question, how that process goes, well, so yeah, I ask what you like, whether you like action, comedy, whatever you like, Neckos or whatever weird stuff you're into. I don't care. I take it in and I make sure that it's at least close to your preferences as possible. Now, how do I like choose stuff for that? It really depends. So I've been trying my best to watch more stuff and watch my material. There are definitely times when I put stuff in boxes that I'll be honest, I haven't watched yet. I know it's awful, but I do my best to read up reviews. I definitely make sure to at least watch one episode, or at the very least the opener. And I have learned that through this personalization, I've learned a few things. One, it's harder than I thought it originally would be. I really, really enjoy doing it, but it gets to the point where if things aren't exactly how I want them to be for the box, I like get mad. So like I make a box for someone, and I think like, oh man, that one series would be perfect for them, and I look, I'm like, oh shoot, I gave it to someone else. I don't have it at this very moment. So sometimes I get upset that I can't make like the exact perfect box for you, and I'll like sleep on it, like what I want to put in the box. I'm like, oh, I don't know about it. Maybe I'll sleep on it and then come back to it next day. So I like to think that I put a lot of heart and work into making sure that it's personalized, and to choose stuff. Like I said, I learned stuff. You ever read the backs of anime DVDs, Kyle or Joe?
It don't matter. They know my name by this point.
Oh, okay.
Once in a while I do. Like when I picked up Chika, the Coffin Princess. So like I read the manga. I read the first two volumes of the manga,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what, this is pretty interesting. And that's when Right Stuff had that like huge clearance sale, and I got it for like $5 for the first series.
Yeah.
So when I picked it up, I was like, this don't sound like the manga, but okay. I mean, it was exactly like the manga, but how they word it sometimes kind of.
I know. It's ridiculous. What are anime backs? This is probably like a whole nother topic for a podcast, and honestly, because anime back descriptions are some of the most ridiculous things I have read, and I do not trust them one bit. I at first I thought, oh, well, if I only know a little bit about a series, and I could maybe just read the back and be like, all right, I bet this will be something that I can enjoy. I can trust that the back is a good description. Sometimes the back is like not true.
Uh-huh.
Not obviously, I'm not talking about situations where like they hype it up. Like I know I'm not dumb. I know that like they'll be like, this is the zaniest, craziest anime you'll ever see, and it's like a 6 out of 10 series. All right, whatever. Back in the box description. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like actual, like, supposed to be factual descriptions of what happened in the show, and then it doesn't turn out to be true at all, or like it turns out to be not the vibe and feel of the show necessarily. Like a really good one, a really good example that I have is Chance Pop Session. So Chance Pop Session, if you ever seen it, it's a show. I think it released in 2002. Originally released through ADV, and it's a I want to say it's an idol anime, kinda. You'd probably like it, Joe. It's an idol anime. It's about three girls. They sing together. They go to a concert for a singer they really like, and they somehow become friends through it. And they're like, "Oh, we should sing together!" And they sing together and make their own band, quote unquote, or not quartet, but whatever the word would be for a three group accompaniment to sing. And uh, the back of that show and the whole box art and feel of one of the releases makes me so mad, because the show's like, it's rated PG. It's honestly super tame. There's nothing sexual in it, or at the very least, I don't even no. There's literally no sex. Someone has a boyfriend. I think that's the most sexual part, and someone has a baby. I think that's it. I think that's the most risque thing that happens in that
They
show.
had a baby.
Other than like, sorry, do you mind if I spoil something, Joe?
I don't care. Go for it.
Okay, someone dies in it. That's like the most.
What, the main cast?
Um, anyway, it's super PG, right? But the cover and the back of this show make it sound so sexual, and it makes me mad. It makes it sound like the front of the show, the girls are looking. The front of the cover makes the girls look super risque, and like makes them look naked, but they're not. And then like that never happens in the show ever. And it's just like the back of it is trying to appeal to sexual appeal, and it's gross. And and I just don't understand. Some backs just straight up lie about what the show's about. So I've learned to just not trust the backs. shows at all, and just Google it, and at very least watch a little bit of it, or read genuine reviews of it.
But
Because man, people who review anime really go into good detail. People write good reviews of anime out there.
I try, everyone. Disclaimer: I'm not the best, but I try. I am not a savant when it comes to words, but I think I get the point across to a certain degree. But anyway, I will have you back for a podcast because I just had an idea that I think we can talk about off screen. But
Mhm.
we can end this podcast with something you've been holding in for the longest time since we've been talking about this.
Mhm.
What makes a good box service and what makes a bad box service? Use your personal experiences if you need
This
to.
is what I was expecting to talk about in the first episode. Yes, I would love to talk about that topic.
I think this would be
I
a good wrap up for the whole podcast as a whole.
Yeah, sorry. I know I've gone on very long tangents.
Oh no,
I
dude, that's
hope
fine. It's a podcast. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I hope I'm at least answering some of your questions before I just like ramble on.
Oh no, you're good, man. You're good. You're good.
But yeah, to answer your question, good and bad. So I've gotten a lot of boxes in my lifetime. I did Loot Crate, the OG Loot Crate, for a very long time, and at first I did legitimately enjoy it. I got it probably for maybe 3 or 4 years, and pretty much throughout like half of high school, half of college. Yeah, around around probably 3 years. And at first I liked it, right? At first it was a very novel idea. I think everyone thought the same, that this was a novel idea. Oh, so cool! We get a bunch of stuff. You wear the t-shirts again. You see a bunch of other people wear the same t-shirts. You've probably seen that before. Everyone has the same Loot Crate t-shirts. But I really liked that first. I thought it was a novel idea, and it is. It was. It made a lot of money. But there is a reason why I went bankrupt. I'll go to that in a second. But as the years went on, and also personal preference for me, I think I liked. Sometimes I liked everything in the box, but that was very uncommon. I would usually typically like half of the box and the other half I would sell. Like on eBay or something. Or, give it to a friend or something. I didn't really care. But after the few years that I had it, it got to the point where I had a bunch of stuff that I didn't want anymore or didn't use, or B, there were more and more boxes where I didn't like anything in the box. Not really. And I think that really pushed me towards a point I'll make in a second about what makes a good box now compared to then. It really pushed me to that personalization is probably the future of boxes, but I'll get to that in a second. But the good about Loot Crate that I really enjoyed was you got really interesting stuff. You got all these neat things that you probably never would have purchased in the first place, or never really found more like in the first place. And that was a really cool novel idea. But as I said, as the years went on, I just kind of grew out of it, or more like I just didn't want all this crap anymore. It was way too much. And it got to the point where, since everyone else got a billion of these other items, they didn't really have a second-hand market value. I don't want to say things were worthless, but they were very, very cheap to get singly if they were in a Loot Crate box, especially in bulk. So you had these items that if you didn't necessarily use or really enjoy, I don't want to say worthless, but yeah, a little bit. They were a little bit worthless as it grew more popular. Now, that said, I would go into Loot Anime, which at first was amazing. I really liked Loot Anime. Had a good manga series that they put in there with alternate art, which is really cool. a bunch of just really neat anime trinkets. I still have like shot glasses I've gotten there. Really neat, genuine stuff. I was really excited about that box. I really enjoyed it. It was my favorite for a while. Um, but I'll get to it in a second. But as we know, Loot Crate went bankrupt. I forget exactly what they filed for bankruptcy because they still exist, but they did go bankrupt. And boxes that I ordered in like 3 months ago would come in the mail 3 months later, and nothing would be on time. And I think that started about a year ago, right before they went bankrupt, where I just stopped getting boxes and we were still being charged. And it seems a bunch of other people were in the same boat, so I canceled it. I canceled Loot Crate OG a while back, way before that happened. But I was really sad about the end of Loot Anime. I really enjoyed that box, but the fact that it was super late and the items were starting to get lackluster. There was a box that had no theme. I remember I got a box that I didn't really understand what it was because it was a Loot Anime box, but it was just like random stuff that I've already gotten. I was very confused. I still don't know what that was about. If that was to make up for the lateness or what, I don't know. But other boxes that I've tried, that I really enjoy, um, Retro Game Treasure, I think is the full name. It's great. I really like it. Pretty much, and I'll be honest, this is one of the people that it inspired me to how to do my box was that it personalized it for you. So for them, it's all about games, used older games. You fill out a list. You tell them, A, your collection, and B, what you have and what you like. And they'll ship you a box of retro games, all catered to what you like. And I love it. It's really solid deal for what it is. I forget exactly how much it is. I think it's 40 now. But in my opinion, it's very worth it. It's very good. There's no like pamphlet or anything that describes what it is. It's just the games inside. But the fact that it takes in not only your preferences, but your entire collection to make sure you don't get duplicates. Wow, that's really cool. And that part really inspired me to do my how I did my personalization with the survey because that's what they asked me to do on their site. That box is super high quality. I think the box is great. I also get a clothing line box called 5-4. They're really cool. They're also personalized. Well, you have to do clothing ones personalized anyway, but um, they send you stuff catered to your size and all that. Obviously, you have to. But that one is really good. I really like that one because now I have like tons and tons of nice shirts and nice clothes to wear for any occasion, thanks to them. Same with shoes. They send shoes too, which is pretty cool, and they aren't that expensive either. They're a good box. Uh, for the bad, and I hate to rep on Loot Crate again, but I think the bad of what makes a bad box is the fact that it doesn't adapt to the customer. So, and I think that is in eventual death. So if you look at the box market right now, it's super saturated. Like I said earlier, if you try to start a female product line box, you are, I don't even know what gross number you're competing against, but it's an insane amount. There's so many other boxes that do female product oriented things. And it is overblown. But what makes you stand out is personalization. And what makes you not stand out is being a box that has similar things that other boxes do. So, hence, like if you do like makeup, for instance, a lot of them will have Mary Kay stuff, and well, that doesn't really make you stand out. But say you personalize it and you make sure like you like this type of shade, you like product with these ingredients because certain things give you a rash or something. I think personalization is the future for the box business in general, And I think boxes that don't do that, or don't have an idea that's extremely either niche or new, will eventually die. Not to be negative Nancy about it, but I firmly believe this, and this is what I've kind of seen over the years, before getting into this, and also now being in the industry. Uh, I think personalization is the key to making a good box, or nicheness. I think nicheness can be a substitute, in some cases, but there are a lot of boxes out there. There's a lot of trash out there. There are a lot of bad boxes. So what makes a good one? I think it's boxes that cater to the customer, that care about customer satisfaction over mass production and wholesale purchasing of many objects for masses. While that might have been really popular, and honestly still popular now, depending on what it is. But you have to, if you're going to go that line, you have to be super high quality and have a lot of money. Yeah, you have to make sure
You
if you're
gotta
going to go
be
the
willing.
mass box stuff, you have to be high quality. You have to have a lot of money to put into it to battle the titans that are already in the market. So I think personalization, if you're just a regular Joe Schmo,
Haha!
that want to start a box business, the first thing you have to ask yourself is my market niche? Can I personalize this? And if the answers are no to each, I don't mean to be negative about it, but I would not get into the industry if your answer was no.
So, as you guys heard here, you've heard the good and the bad. You've heard our personal experiences with everything else in the box subscription world. If you want to get to the Boxuchan, which I highly recommend, you can check out my multitude of videos I've done. You can check out the vlogs I've done with this man. I could keep going on. In case you can't tell, I really back this box service. But if you want to check it out for yourself, or if you got...
I didn't pay him.
He isn't paying me for jack shit. Don't you worry about that. I'm literally putting all my ducks in a barrel for this man. If you want to sell stuff, though, go check out the website because he's always in need of stuff, and we talk about that stuff all the time. Or if you want to go buy a box, go for it. And if you want a monthly service for him, go check out the Patreon. Besides that, do you have anything else to say, sir? Because I feel like that was a good ending point, personally.
I would agree. And to go on what Joe said, yeah. I mean, honestly, I appreciate you just looking at the site, honestly, and at the very least, just checking it out or telling a friend or something. I really appreciate it. It really is like just me doing it. Joe helps me a ton, but I'm like the sole owner of it, so it really is a small business, and any help I really do appreciate. And Joe, I really appreciate all that you do. There's a lot that I couldn't have done without your aid in the past. So
that's why I'm here, my friend. That is why I'm here.
So yeah, obviously, if anime, I would assume anime is your thing if you watch Joe's stuff. But if you like that stuff, or you have a friend, tell them about it. It's also a good present. If someone's birthday is coming up, I can personalize for them, etc. Like Joe said, I also buy stuff. We're also willing to trade boxes for your collection as well. However you want to do it.
So,
and I think that's it.
So until next time, folks, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go check out the Boxuchan YouTube channel as well. Almost forgot to plug that. The Instagram, the Twitter, do everything. I'll see if I can remember to put all the links down below. But until next time, guys, I will see you all later. And I have a special treat for everyone. We are leaving on a song by Sean. He was a previous guest, so please enjoy. There he goes.